Welcome to the Moonshot Podcast, the podcast where we explore business growth, inspire innovative marketing strategies, and explore the world of company culture. Now here are your hosts, serial entrepreneurs and best-selling authors, James Philip Arbuckle and Kane Carpenter.
I know you love Panera, so I got a story for you.
Okay.
Buddy calls me one morning. He's like, I got a story for you. Swings into Panera Bread. Gets the cup of coffee. You know how the coffee's like self-serve.
Mm-hmm.
Goes over, tries to pump coffee out of the first one. It's out. Goes to the second vat. It's out. The third one, which I think is a flavor he didn't even want, but screw it, you gotta get to work. That one's out too. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm just curious. Does the decaf work?" The decaf works, but he doesn't want decaf. He wants coffee. Goes to the counter. Says, "Hey, all the coffee's out. How long before coffee's up?" And the lady behind the counter goes, "You have to wait a few minutes." And he's like, "Okay, well, how long is a few minutes? Because I got to get to work." And she's like, just walks off. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. Walks off and goes in the back. And then a few minutes go by. She never comes back. And then he says, "Okay, screw it. He just left." I've had similar issues with this Panera Bread before as well. And they're usually understaffed, and the people that they do get there don't seem like they want to work at all. But I'm at a point where I'm not even eating out anymore unless it's at a nicer high-end restaurant. Because that's the only place that it seems to be where service and the quality of food, and even it's questionable. I would say it's even questionable then. And then you got these middle markets that are trying to survive. This is fast casual or whatever. How the hell are you going to survive if this is what the workforce is going to become? Where they don't really care about customer service. They're not really doing their job. Maybe they are doing their job, but you can't get enough people, so you're short-staffed. How do you actually run a profitable business and not destroy your brand? If it's hospitality or a service-based business, what is your solution for that?
Yeah, it's a $1 million question. $1 million question. I think the brand question is the key. People will always come and go, but it does seem like over the last 5, or call it since COVID, the effects on brand from these kinds of experiences is really, really strong.
How difficult is it to try to maintain a decent rating on Google and Yelp if you're a restaurant that's not selling $200 steaks, right? Because of the food, and then you can't find the cooks, so the food product is not coming out great. I can't tell you how 1 out of 10, carry out or eat in meals that weren't nice, kind of luxury restaurants that were actually the food was done right. And then the service is a whole other issue. So how the hell do you even maintain a decent rating online?
Well, I mean, that raises an interesting question. Do you think the ratings are becoming less and less relevant? I know for me, I'm prone to a fast food dinner out some nights. Every time I Google something, the Yelp's always at 3 stars. And I see it and it registers. That might not be a great experience. And I just go anyway.
Yeah, it's possible, but it's usually a 3-star experience.
Typically. It's very hard to find anything higher than that now.
But that's my point, because you had data before that showed for every the amount of sales you lose going from 4.2 to 4.1, there's a sales drop.
Oh yeah.
And and that big drop goes from 4.0 to 3.9. How many people won't go to your restaurant if it begins with the 3? Unless it's you, it doesn't seem to stop you. But there's this correlation between your rating and how much business you get. But it's really hard when, you got to get the food and the service right. And a lot of places are screwing both of them up. And that particular Panera, I just stopped going to a long time ago because it was so bad.
Hmm.
And they're still there. They're a big company, and people are going to keep going. But it's just I'm not doing it anymore. Just to like, I can't like keep going to a place and giving them money where the people are almost like mad that you're there, inconveniencing them. Like, well, shit, I'm sorry you got to work today. Like, but I look at, from hotels, how many times I've dealt with in the last 2 years, the rooms aren't ready. You just can't get enough staff. The bar should have 2 bartenders. It's got 1 bartender. Can't get enough bartenders. And it's that these things that were like experience based aren't really great experiences anymore. And it's like, well, it's not going to be a good experience either when it's just a robot back there doing it for you. Or would you prefer that? Would you just rather get your cocktail from a machine?
That's a great question. So what I was going to ask you is like, is this a byproduct of productivity? So it's not that companies, like, let's say you require 20 people to run a Panera, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
I think in this market, you can probably find 20 people. Are the 20 people doing 20 people's work, or are you getting like 12 person output? And then at least the robot would solve for the productivity piece. Right, like you at least that part of the customer experience would be solved for. It's just is it a productivity thing?
I mean, we've already proven that most places will say that they have to hire more people to do the same amount of work they used to do pre-COVID. So it is productivity, but also it's just. I had to go into McDonald's one day, and then there's no people at the cash register. You can either order through your phone, or they have the giant iPad thing. And while it's slower, I wish I could have just walked up and say, give me a number 4 with a Coke.
Mm.
Like, I wish I could just do that. But at the same time, most of the time you did that, there was some very miserable person behind the counter who didn't want to be at work. And almost like, dude, you're sucking the energy out of everywhere you go. You run into these people. Like, I'm sorry you had to work today. I had to work too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, just ordering from the little screen took away that poor experience.
Right.
But it's give me a normal, happy, smiling person. I'd rather all day versus doing the kiosk. So you got the productivity issue, and then you have, what about the customer experience? Do you want a chef cooking your food, or do you want a robot doing it?
Yeah, that is a good question.
But you might not have a choice.
And the unfortunate thing is we did this to ourselves.
Yeah, we did do it to ourselves. And I often say, where I grew up, we didn't have much money. Things were way different back then. Like, getting a job right now, there's jobs everywhere, even though things are slowing. Like, if you need a job, you can get a job. It wasn't that way when I was growing up. And it was even worse when my father was growing up. And what I learned was, even a bad job was better than no job. And a low-paying job was better than no job. Because if you ever had to sit around and wait for, government assistance and food stamps and wait to no, man, it was, any job was better than no job. And now we're kind of painting ourselves in a corner where the workforce is so difficult, they're going to find ways to just replace you with technology. And one day you're going to wake up and there's not going to be that job there. There's no upward mobility without that, man. Believe it or not, even that first McDonald's job can lead you somewhere.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get that job anymore. Because you just, you called off, 3 days a week, and you couldn't just smile at the customer. Now you're getting replaced by a robot, and now it's crazy.
It is crazy. You've brought this up too, which I thought was a really interesting point around this stuff, which is if we lose the ability to provide a great customer experience at the frontline level of these kind of establishments, then in a few years we're going to be missing the managers will be missing too, because there isn't that natural mobility right up the org chart. So what's going to happen other than robots?
It's kind of my thing with you see all the AI tools you can have for coding now, and there's there's many instances where, for non-complex coding, you don't really need a junior programmer anymore. You don't need the kid out of college. It's I can just jump into singing and get the code. Like IBM's got some crazy like code assistance thing. I forgot to call what's it called. And so, but how do you ever get to become a senior software engineer if there's no junior software engineer jobs that exist?
Right.
So there's a cost that I think the industry's not. Yeah, we're going to be ultra productive with AI, but we're also not. Anything that's like entry level is going to get wiped out. But that's how you get your foot in the door. It's like, if you can't get that cash register job, how do you ever become the manager of a McDonald's or become a franchisee one day? You're going to have to get experience somewhere, right?
Right.
So it's...
Right.
I don't know. World's changing. I thought it was going to get better by now. I understood why things were kind of crazy 2021, 2022. A little bit of economic shift in 2023, thinking maybe we'll get some people back to work and attitudes towards work will shift a little bit. It doesn't seem any better. Eating out, most hotel experiences aren't what they used to be. Food quality's terrible. It's not consistent. And hell, can you find someone to smile? So it's just a stupid thing, but do you know anyone that's like miserable all the time that's really successful?
No.
So I thought about that one day because I ran into somebody that it was actually a good customer service experience. Super happy, knocked it out, like just the whole thing. And it's like I can see why you are moving up the ladder. And then you run into these people who are just miserable. They're negative, they're miserable, and then no one likes anyone like that. And I'm sure some make it, but it doesn't seem like many. And I feel like right now the world's like 80% people that are just miserable. For reasons I don't understand.
Think how far you can go then now if you're a young kid and you're just positive. Like people will take you right up the org chart.
It will. They talked about, man, if you're just willing to like go in the office and if you're willing to like not work at home, go in the office, try to learn as much as you can from the people there, be positive, add to the conversation, like just bust your ass. How fast can you climb the ladder right now?
Right.
But there's also a caveat. It's how do you climb the ladder is maybe you're that person, but your team is the 5 negative people. Like they're not going to let you climb. Because you're completely dependent upon them getting their stuff done, right?
It's true.
And it's like, man, it's actually, there's more opportunity than ever to climb the ladder and make things happen. But at the same time, it's almost harder because if you're surrounded by people who don't want to help you get there, well, good luck.
Yeah.
It's like riding a bike into the wind. Like a 40-mile-an-hour wind, right? Like...
Yeah, at some point you give up.
Soon, at some point you give up. I don't know what the solution is. I'm hoping something changes in our culture and society. Can we get back to having some ambition and trying to get somewhere and just taking pride in your work? Have you ran into a lot of strangers lately? You feel like they take pride in what they do?
It's few and far between.
Yeah, we're not on a good trajectory in that case. It's just service industry as a whole, hospitality, it's going to be tough. There's going to be a machine making my old fashioned. Hey, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be a goddamn, like, you ever see those Coke freestyle machines?
Yes.
Where you can, like,
choose your drink. Yeah.
Like there's 200 different combinations. They already got them, but there's going to be one that's probably like high end, and I can choose from probably 100 different bourbons, and this goddamn machine's going to make it and slide it down the bar to me.
Yeah, it'll be consistent.
And it takes away the whole bar experience, but at least you know what? Because it's like we talked about this before. Like, why do all bartenders these days seem like you're inconveniencing them?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that some part of the act? Like, you would have, we would have bought so many more drinks from you and probably tipped so much more. In fact, we just left. Like, I don't want to sit here. Like, you can't tell me the friendly bartender doesn't make more money. Going back to show me the happy, smiley people that are positive, and they're the ones doing good.
Yeah, for sure.
So, anyways, we'll follow back up on this one day, but I'm going to go find some 3-star Yelp places to check out.
They'll be all right.
Yeah, they'll be all right. All right. I'll catch you
Later.